Welcome to Wednesday Wanderings. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. My apologies for having wandered off last week. I attended the Anglican Church of Southern Africa's Provincial Synod, a virtual gathering across the region, and really good to interact with others around important aspects of our common life together in Southern Africa. At the end, we excitingly launched a whole new province in the Anglican Communion. The Portuguese-speaking areas of what has been the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, Angola and Mozambique. And do ask that you pray for this new province as they begin their fledgling journey and build on the amazing growth that's taken place in those areas over the last 30 or more years. Having said that, today is Wednesday, and on one level I'd like to wander with the angels. And that may be as dangerous as it sounds. But today, in fact, is the feast of St. Michael and all angels. I went to an Anglican church school, and the third term was always known as the Michaelmas term, Michaelmas being the feast of St. Michael and all angels. I'm not sure that I understood why it was the Michaelmas church back then, but that awareness has certainly grown for me. Aware that there are three main archangels we often refer to: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. Michael is the defender of the saints. Gabriel is the guide, and certainly the one, in fact, that brings guiding messages, informing Zechariah that John the Baptist would be born to them, informing Mary that she would bear the Christ child, and depending on which gospel you read, also informing Joseph of that fact. Raphael is the archangel of healing, sent to heal the world after the huge cosmic angelic clash in heaven, in which Lucifer is abandoned together with those angels that supported him to the earth, or not abandoned, but sent down here. And Raphael comes to bring healing to humanity and to the world. I'm not too sure what I believe about angels. I suspect you may also not be entirely sure either. There's such a mix of scripture, the way scripture refers to angels, together with a whole lot of folklore in our various cultures around it. But for me, the key aspects, certainly of Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and there are a few others depending on which books of the Bible you access, but they speak to something of the nature of God and God's purpose in our lives, in our world. So Michael is the defender of the saints, Gabriel as the announcer and the guide, and of course Raphael then as the healer, all speaking to the nature of what God is up to in our world. And however you understand or don't understand angels, however you understand the nature of life and life after death, there is this strong Christian understanding that the heavens and the earth are linked, and linked for me particularly, I guess, through the gift of God's Spirit. But in fact, and particularly a gospel like John's gospel, speaks to the reality of eternity existing in the presence. And so it's in the present. So it's not just that you kind of have this earthly experience and then you die and you have a heavenly experience, but then in fact, heaven's already operating in today's experience. And that we have ourselves, the saints on earth, they're those who've died, the saints of heaven. And then there's this kind of third order of angels that are the part of all of that. And angels linking into both the physical and the spiritual experience. Some have claimed, and certainly in scripture claims, that people have met with angels. And you, in fact, may have had that experience. I never have, or certainly have not been aware of meeting with angels. It's not to say I haven't. But I think importantly, particularly as we've just focused on today as Michael and all angels, just that wonderful sense that God is here, and whether God does it through other human beings, whether God does it through the Spirit of God, whether God does it through an angel such as Michael, there's this wonderful sense that God is there to protect us, to defend us, to hold us. And there's so much, and that strikes me particularly in the Psalms, that speak to the caring, supportive, healing, guiding nature of God in our world. And to really hold that, particularly in these times of pandemic when so much remains uncertain, and for many of us in various areas of our lives, incredibly chaotic, to really trust in that gift that is there for us, that we are protected. I grew up with an understanding that I had a guardian angel. And I think as a young person, on one level, that both terrified the living daylights out of me, in thinking that there was a presence with me all the time, to at other times really feeling hugely comforted by that I was not alone. In the season of creation, in our liturgies here at St. Andrews, we've been using a creed from the Canadian Church, and it begins and ends with the words, "We are not alone." And that is such an important message, such an important awareness for us in these times, that whether we are in lockdown and feeling disconnected from people around us, whether it's just that here in South Africa we have various alert levels, other countries do too. I feel quite distanced because I'm not able to visit family in the UK, or Dawn's not able to, we're not able to visit her sister in Canada. And not necessarily that we would have gone to visit them in these times, although there had been some plans to get across. But just knowing that you can't is enough to create a sense of loneliness. Been hugely thankful for Zoom and other electronic means of at least having contact. But there's something about the physicality of life. It really is, it is part of who we are. It's part of this human experience we're having. And when we're not able to be physically close to others, that sense of aloneness grows far too quickly and too easily and impacts on our lives. And even with COVID, I find even when I do meet with people, just that not being able to shake a hand or to give a hug or put an arm around someone's shoulders, things that had been so much part of how I expressed my togetherness with others, and particularly people with whom I have a close relationship. And so perhaps you're feeling too at this time, just as this pandemic progresses and clearly doesn't have an end. It may taper, but it certainly continues to impact on our lives. You may be feeling alone, and to encourage you just to embrace that knowledge that we are not alone. God is with us, that there is an archangel who is set there to assure that we know that we are not alone, that we are defended, that we are supported, that we are cared for. And encourage you today, as we celebrate Michaelmas, to hold that close to your heart and to find a renewed resilience, a renewed courage, a new deep sense of just God's presence there to lead you forward, to guide you forward, and to hold you in the future. So may you know that blessing, and may it be a real reality to you in this moment, in this day.